Hey guys, today I want to share with you a technique that I use to remove and install the rear wheel on a bike that has a Shimano-based drivetrain. If the bike has a SRAM-based drivetrain, it's pretty easy. There's a locking mechanism and you just move down the derailleur and engage that lock, and it's pretty easy to move the chain and the derailleur out of the way to put on and take off a wheel with a SRAM-based bike. But on a Shimano-based bike, for me, it's not that easy. And over time, I've developed a technique which I think is pretty foolproof to get the wheel on and off for a Shimano-based bike. Now this takes a little bit more time and effort, but I think, in my opinion, it's well worth it. It eliminates all the frustration with getting the wheel off and on, and you eliminate the potential for bending either the derailleur or the derailleur hanger as a part of this process. So I'm going to share with you what I do, and it might not be for everybody, but let's get to it here. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the video, but I need your help with something here. If you could you please like my video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications? I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, the first thing I've done here is gotten the rear wheel up off the ground. And now I'm going to go in and just get the chain back into the smallest cog in the back, or the highest gear. Once I do that, I line up the crank arm. Now I'm going to take off the chain guide, the top part of the chain guide. These come off different ways, but normally they're pretty easy to take off. So I've taken off the chain guide, and once I get the chain guide out, now I'm going to go in and I'm going to turn off the clutch. So at this point I just push the clutch switch down. The clutch has been disengaged. Now I push down the lower part of the derailleur. The chain should be very loose at that point, and then you can just take your hand and just take the chain off of the chain ring. Once I get the chain off the chain ring, I move it back to the rear triangle. Then I'm going to take the chain off the, going to remove the derailleur. Once again, this should just twist right off. No pressure on it anywhere, it should come right off. Then I'm going to take the chain, this is very important, and move it up on the top of the rear triangle. This will be very important, particularly when you get ready to reinstall the wheel. But at that point, nothing's holding the wheel in except the axle. The chain is not engaged. The derailleur is completely out of the way. So the wheel now should come off relatively easily. So here I'm just going to twist off the rear axle bolt here. Give it a couple of turns. Once I take that out, the wheel should just drop right out of the rear triangle. Out there, the wheel is out, and at this point, the rear wheel has been removed from the bike. Okay, now I'm going to reverse the process and I'm going to install the rear wheel. A couple things to point out. Notice the derailleur is hanging down by the cable, but most importantly, notice that the chain is up high on the rear triangle. This will be important when you get ready to install the wheel. You want it there. Now at this point, I'm just going to take the wheel back, put it inside the rear triangle. At that point, the only issue is just lining it up with the rear brake caliper. I've done that, and now I'm just installing the axle. But with the derailleur out of the way, it should go in pretty easy into the brake caliper. And then you just want to tighten it up. I'm not putting my torque wrench on it, but normally I would torque it to the torque spec, which is probably around 10 to 12 Newton meters in the back. But I'm just hand tightening it here. Then the next thing you want to do is now you're going to start to reinstall. The first thing you need to do is make sure that the chain is going to line up. So you want to reattach the chain onto the smallest cog in the back. Once you get that on, you want to reattach the rear derailleur. Now it's very easy to mess up here, so I'm just going to show in detail here. This is just putting the chain over the smallest cog in the back, and once you get it over the smallest cog in the back, you just basically move the chain through the derailleur until you get it in a position where you can reattach it, and just make sure at that point the chain is clearly going from the rear cog to the derailleur. Then you want to get this little piece here. It's very important you grab this little piece in the derailleur and put it so that it's in between the B screw and the derailleur hanger. And I'm just showing there how you put your finger on that, pull it up against the B screw, and then you get the derailleur tightened in, and you've got it. Now at this point I'm just going back to the general installation video where I showed you some details, but once you get it all lined up in the rear derailleur, you just tighten it. That requires 11 Newton meters of torque. I just hand tightened it, but you would want to get it to the torque spec when you put it back on. Now once you have the derailleur back on and attached, first thing you do is put the chain back up on the front chain ring. Just mash the derailleur down and should go right on. Once you get the chain on, you want to re-engage the clutch so you'll have tension on the chain. Then once you have that installed, you want to go in and put the chain guide back on. And once again, these have different attachments, but they're all fairly similar. This is a particularly easy one, but you just put it on and hand tighten it. Not too tight, you don't want to break the plastic, but just get it on there. Then once you do that, you're almost done. You want to just make sure that nothing's happened, so you want to go in and turn the crank and move the gears up and down just to make sure that everything's working fine. And in this case, it goes right up the cassette and comes right back down the cassette, no problem. So at this point, the rear wheel has been successfully reinstalled without a lot of pain and aggravation. Okay, I'll see you guys at the top.